What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Dark Souls PvP. Alright guys, we're back at it once and again, but this time around we're going to do a Battle of the Build series. Now, in the event that perhaps some of you may have just stumbled on one of my videos as a luck of the draw, let me kind of explain to you what the Battle of the Build series is, and also to perhaps some of my new subscribers who have yet to view one of my Battle of the Build videos. One thing that we like to do in the brigade is feature unique, not only unique builds, but also, unique weapon combinations, because I am of the opinion that the katana, Darkwood Grain Ring builds are basically overused, right? And for the most part, it is my aim and goal to kind of help to spark player creativity with regards to these builds. I know that a lot of people may have a certain level of success with the katanas, but at the end of the day, when you only use katanas and the little Darkwood Grain Ring combination, in my personal opinion, you really limit yourself to the wide range of possibilities out there in the PvP world. So basically, I would say for perhaps the last month or two, I've kind of been on this kick about, really pushing the idea of player creativity. Now, this is one of the ways that I do it, the Battle of the Build series. Right, so what I'm going to do is feature two builds. One will be my Pyro Cleric, and actually this showcase is focused around good old Wolfsins' build. Right, so before I get into it any further, I like to give a thanks and appreciation to good old Wolfsins for answering the call for the Battle of the Build series, sending me an invite, and giving me a nice, and actually I can't even say nice, I'll say an awesome display of the pros and cons of his particular build. Now, his build, well actually he's given it the name, the Haven's Butcher, right? Which is I can really dig that name. It sounds pretty cool. Now, for the most part, it's a hybrid build. It's a strength faith build. Now, two good things about this particular build. Number one is the fact that not only does it use strength weapons, right, but it basically focuses on two weapons in particular that you rarely see, right? Number one being the butcher's knife. I mean, let's just really be honest out there, guys. Do you really see a lot of guys out there PvPing with butcher's knives? Now, I know just for the sake of argument, there'll be one or two of you out there who'll say, hey, I mean, by the way, I see them all the time. Okay, I know there'll be, because there's always one, right? But for me, and a lot of other guys out there in the PvP world, you almost never see the butcher's knife. So as soon as he told me about the build, I immediately jumped on the opportunity to do a Battle of the Build series with it. Number two, he uses one of the clubs as an alternative weapon. Now, I'm not really sure as to whether he uses the Great Club, the Large Club, or some of the other clubs, but I do know that he mentioned that he uses the club. Another good thing about it, he also demonstrates that you do not need the Darkwood Grain Ring with the club combinations. Now, unfortunately, I did not find out about his usage of the club until basically almost the end of the series, right? So you won't really see club action, but you will see a lot of mighty fine butcher's knife action. Now, so that's the first thing, the usage of the strength weapons, in addition to, and actually with the focus on the butcher's knife. Now, the second benefit to his build, for the most part, I think, is the biggest benefit to it. Now, the way he has put this build together, you really have to try to kill this guy as quickly as possible. His build is not really, and actually I can't say his build is not. Anyone who were to fight this build, you are not in a position to take this fight in the long haul with this guy. mainly because he uses a lot of the regeneration benefits to the build. Now, what exactly do I mean? To the extent that you guys are kind of new to the game, you're not familiar with the pieces of equipment that he's using, he's rocking this Sanctus shield. Right? And the benefit to the Sanctus is it offers 2 health points regenerations every 2 seconds. Now, some of you may say, dude, I mean, what's really so impressive about that? Well, I mean, that in and of itself is not really impressive. But when you combine 2 regeneration health points every 2 seconds with 10 health points regeneration every 1 second, you kind of average it out to 11 HP per second. Right, which is a good thing. And in addition to that, good old Wolfsins kind of put me on game to something that I never even knew. The good old Butcher's Knife will offer 5 HP regeneration points per hit. I never even knew that. Right? So much so that after he gave me this information, you know how we do in the brigade, I had to go out and test it for myself. So it is true, I tested it. Right, each hit will award you 5 HP. 5 HP every time. Right, so let's just kind of do the math, guys. If you take 11 HP regeneration per second, right, and let's just say you're going at it for about a minute, dude, that's 660 vitality points that you've been able to regenerate. And that's just the first minute. That's just hoping that the battle is over in 1 minute. So let's just say you're fighting a guy who, let's just say, who has, with the Ring of Favor and Protection, 1,800 vitality points. Now, with 1,800 vitality points, and fighting this guy, so let's just say the match lasts for a minute, you're basically trying to deplete 2,400 vitality. So you're basically almost at the point of having a mother's mask without having to wear it. Right? And that's only with the Sanctus and the regeneration. That's not even counting the 5 health points that you would get as a result of hitting your opponent. It's not even counting that. So I think that's one good benefit, and actually that's 2 good benefits about his build. Not only is he using some of the rarest of used strength weapons, but he's also using the benefit of the regeneration with the Sanctus, in addition to the 5-point health points that you're awarded with each hit. Right, now, one thing that I kind of, if you guys noticed that I did a quick weapon swap right there. I've been kind of getting my practice in, even though I still need a little practice. I know some of you guys may say, how did he get hit with that Wrath of Gods but escape it so fast? Well, I mean, I kind of got lucky right there. As I was saying, some of you guys would know with regard to these faith builds that there are 2 miracles out there. I think one is called like the bountiful sunlight or something like that. And if that is the one, right, it's one of the 2 of those miracles that you earn down in the Duke's Archives, over near the area where you rescue Big Hat Logan. Right, you kill 2 of those little octopus looking things, and one of those is a regeneration miracle. Now, I kind of tested that myself to see if the rate of regeneration was any different from the regeneration miracle, and actually it's not. Right, they both offer 10 regeneration points per second. So if any event that you guys are like, holy crap, well, if regeneration does well, I can just go get the bountiful sunlight. Basically, that bountiful sunlight, and once again, maybe I'm getting the name wrong, but I know it's one of the 2. I know some of you guys may be thinking yourself like, holy crap, I could just use that instead of the regeneration. Basically, that particular miracle is just good for co-op, right? So for a lot of you Sun Bros and a lot of you ridiculous gankers, right, that's perhaps the right miracle for you. Because that particular miracle not only regenerates your vitality, but also your comrades. right? Well, actually, your your Conrads if you're a Sun Bro, and your ridiculous ganker friends if you're a ganker. Right, so we'll leave it at that. Now, let's just talk about some pros and cons with regard to the Haven's Butcher. Actually, I haven't really seen that many cons. You know, I mean, the only con that I can think of would come with each individual playstyle because, I mean, where do you really see a con? He has the Vitality Regeneration, which after 1 minute will get you somewhere around 660 Vitality points. He's using Strength Weapons. I mean, you can't really find a con in that. I mean, some people may argue that the strength weapons are slow. I mean, some people may make that argument, but at the end of the day, the more you practice with those weapons, I'm inclined to believe that the better you'll get. So honestly, I can't really think of any cons. He's not dependent on a Darkwood Grain Ring. You guys notice that he's fast rolling. I don't really know what his armor pieces are, but I'm pretty sure that he has sufficient amount of poise to the extent that he wants to use a lot of poise. And other than that, I really don't see any cons. So basically, I think it's a great build. You know, some of the other Battle of the Build series, you know, you might point out some cons, although the pros would outweigh them. But with regard to the Haven's Butcher, I can't really think of anything bad with it. Now, granted, some of you guys, you know, you may want to switch up a weapon to your liking. Perhaps the Butcher's Knife may not be the weapon for you, but, I mean, for which it wouldn't be called a Butcher. But in the event that you want to use the Haven's Butcher, right, the way that is demonstrated on here, I think is an awesome build. It will cause for you to, you know, kind of practice with the Butcher's Knife and perhaps the club, may it be the large club or the great club, but either way it go, in my personal opinion, this is one of the most awesome builds that I've been exposed to. Now, cons, I don't think we really need to review the pros, I don't really think we need to review them because they speak for themselves. He's got the Regeneration Miracle, he's got the Sanctus, which when you use the two together will give you 11 vitality points per second, which will average out to about 660 per minute, which, like I said before, let's just say you have 50 in vitality with the Ring of Favor and Protection. You're basically trying to tackle down 2400 vitality to the extent that it lasts for at least a minute. Another good thing about him is I think he uses his miracles pretty well. He doesn't, you know, just focus on Wrath of the Gods. Because if you guys have noticed, he throws in a mid-force in there. He also has an option for the Sunlight Blade, but, you know, this is a 1v1 arrangement. There's not really a need to use a buff because basically you're just ending the match within 2 or 3 shots, right? And that's not the focus of the Battle of the Build series. Now, I actually fought this guy once in the past before he kind of called me up. Well, not called me up. Before he sent me an invite for the Battle of the Builds. And actually, he used the Sunlight Blade. And he tightened me up pretty well. Right? And I think, as a matter of fact, I might create my own Haven's Butcher. And actually keep it consistent with the way he's demonstrating it with the club and with the Butcher's Knife. I think his build is pretty awesome. So when he kind of sent me a comment and said, "Hey, dude, I mean, I have a Butcher build for you," I kind of thought about it and I said, "Hold on, some Butcher Knife dude tied me up just a couple days before that." And as soon as he confirmed that he was that guy, I had to jump on the opportunity. Right. So as I said, thanks again for good old Wolfsins. I think this is a great build. Especially seeing that he's using not only some of the rarest obscene PvP weapons, but he also has the mighty fine benefit of the Vitality Regeneration. Now, like I was saying with regard to his usage of miracles, I think it's an awesome combination. In most cases, what you will see when guys call themselves a faith build, they're not really a faith build. what they really are, when you sit back and analyze it, they're really a Sunlight Blade slash Dark Moon Blade slash Wrath of the God build. I don't consider that a faith build in my personal opinion. Just as the same could be said with the Pyromancers. You'll get a lot of these guys who will say, oh, I'm a Pyro build. But when you have a series of matches with them and you notice the Pyromancies that they're using, they're basically not a Pyro build. You want to know what they are? Great Combustion build. And I think they should be honest and say that's what they are. Because a Pyromancer, in other words, the class of the Pyromancer is not relegated to Great Combustion. Now, I'm not really going to focus on my build yet, but let's just look at it. If you guys have been paying close attention, you guys will notice that I am using all of the Pyromancies that I have in my attunement slots. Right? I'm not just, popping them off with the Great Combustion over and over and over again. Which, I find a lot of guys who, they may want to match up with me and they say, hey dude, I'm a Pyromancer. In most cases, that's what I find. They just use the Great Combustion. But see, if you guys would notice, I'm mixing in the Fireballs, the Great Combustion. I'm using the Fire Surge. And if you guys have noticed, I've even gotten a few wins with the Fire Tempest. Right? That's a Pyromancer. I'm mixing in various Pyromancies within my attack strategies. Also with my miracles, if you guys would notice, I am not just using Wrath of the Gods. I'm using the Lightning Spears. Now, the same can be said with good old Wolfsins. If you notice, he is not just using Wrath of the Gods. He's using Regeneration, in addition to Emit Force, with the option to use the Sunlight Blade. Now, I'm pretty sure he may, kind of throw in some other miracles. As a matter of fact, in our kind of communications with each other, he said, well, I kind of use Emit Force every now and then, Wrath of the Gods, but I also use the regular Force in addition to the Regeneration, and I think that's a good thing. So many guys, in my personal opinion, like to stick with what's the easiest. In other words, it's super easy to just pop off with the Wrath of the Gods. You don't have to be strategic, in my personal opinion, to be effective with the Wrath of the Gods. You just have to be within a certain range. Right? So, is that really a faith build just because you're popping off with the Wrath of the Gods? Not in my personal opinion. As a matter of fact, I'm just likely to call you a Wrath of God build. Right? Or a buff build. So I think that's another good thing that he does with his build. He mixes it up. I think he's very unique with regard to his build creation, and that's a good thing. Because this is pretty much what I like to focus on in the brigade. Guys who like to use their imagination. They are testing their skills with regard to experimenting with different items and armor sets. Right, so enough about good old Haven's Butcher. Well, actually, Wolfsins Haven's Butcher. Now, let's kind of go into my build. This is my Pyro Cleric. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys have kind of been paying attention over the last few minutes that I've been kind of giving a long rant about Wolfsins' build. So let's kind of discuss my build. I love this build. This is my Pyro Cleric. And as I've just talked about, I mix in the combination of not only pyromancies but also miracles. Now, this particular build focuses on not only Wrath of the Gods and Lightning Spears, but I also kind of mix in Emit Force in there every now and then. Now, unfortunately, this first playthrough I wasn't able to get Emit Force because even though I went through Sin's Fortress, and well, actually I can't even say even though. Once I went through Sin's Fortress, I forgot to move that rotator arm to allow the NPC to escape onto Anor Londo. Right, so basically what I'm going to have to do is go ahead, complete the game, and my second time around, go ahead and acquire Emit Force, because I plan to use either Wrath of the Gods and a Sunlight Spear, or Emit Force and a Sunlight Spear. Now, in the event that I use this build, I'm going to be fighting, let's just say, an Intelligence build. Best believe I'm going to break out the Great Magic Barrier. Best believe. Now, with regard to the Pyromancies, these are some of the most effective Pyromancies, in my personal opinion. You have the Fire Surge that a lot of people underestimate. You have the Great Combustion, which basically speaks for itself because you have probably a million Great Combustion spammers out there. You have the Fireballs, which you guys can see for yourself. I like to experiment with those. And you have the Fire Tempest, which with the right strategies, you can be pretty effective with those. Now, with regard to the Fire Tempest, I'm pretty sure you guys know that it covers a wide area. But just because it covers a wide area, you still have to be strategic with its casting, right? Because if you cast a little too far away, you might miss your target. If you're dealing with some of these ridiculous Darkwood Grain Ring flippers, they're going to just flip out of control and you might not be able to hit them with it. Even though they still can be hit, you just have to be strategic with your casts. Now, I don't really know the stats of the Haven's Butcher, but I can give you the stats for my particular build. And actually, I'm kind of trying to decide whether I should stay at 126 or if I should kind of upgrade it to 131. And actually, after I give you the stats, I'll perhaps try to explain why. Now, currently I'm 126. The stats are 45 Vitality, 23 Attunement, 30 Endurance, 16 Strength, 45 Dexterity for the fastest casting, the Pyromancies and the Lightning Spear. And actually, I can't remember if I have 28 Faith or if I have 30 to be able to use the Vow of Silence. Now, currently I'm a 126. I'm thinking about kind of tweaking this build to 130, only because I want to have an option for 4 Pyromancies and 3 Miracles, right? The Pyromancies basically staying what they are now, the Fire Surge, the Fireball, perhaps with the option for the Chaos Fireball, and the Fire Tempest. Those 4 Pyromancies. But with regard to Miracles, I kind of want to have Wrath of the Gods as an option, in addition to Emit Force, because you rarely see it, so I kind of want to experiment with Emit Force. Perhaps I'll stick it with one of the Lightning Spears, but I also kind of want to experiment with Force, with the option perhaps to have either Regeneration or Great Magic Barrier, always handy. Right, so we'll see. We'll see. But 126 at this point is perfect. You know what I'm saying? In other words, if I just so happen to be faced against a Intelligence build, I might have to sacrifice one of my Faith slots, for which I only have 2 at this point. For which I only have 2 at this point. But it's good enough. I haven't had a problem up to this point. I've kind of went around, did some random invasions. I've been here in the Moonlight Butterfly Forest, and with all the builds that I've run into, I haven't really had a problem. So I might just stick it with the 126 build the way that you guys see it right now. Now, let's talk about some cons. With regard to the cons, I think cons may just come with the way you play for the most part. Because, I have Miracles, I have Pyromancies, and actually I had to go ahead and cancel that cast right there because, I kind of noticed him going off near that tree, but I didn't know why, and I didn't want to blast him when he's actually trying to prevent from having me being attacked from one of the Stone Giants. Right, so good looking out right there. Alright, and basically I'm starting over because I was hit by a Stone Giant. So we're just going to go ahead and start the match over. He's going to wait until his regeneration has worn off so he can fire it up once again. Alright, now, like I said before, with regard to cons, I think some people may look at the fact that I have 30 in endurance as a con. But I mean, the more you get practice with it, it shouldn't be a problem. I don't have a problem with it. In most cases, at minimum, I would have 35 endurance, but this build has 30. There's no big deal about that. So I think that's about it. Now, with regard to caster builds, I've had a few guys say, dude, I mean, I really didn't know that you know, kind of use caster builds, and actually, you're pretty good with them. I mean, thanks, bro. Right? But I'm just really not into the caster builds. And to the extent that I do decide to use a caster build, you will almost never see me use a buff build. Right? Almost never use a buff. Actually, I can't even say almost never. You will never see me use a buff. Because I really think buffs are unnecessary. I think I've been playing this game long enough to not need to use a buff. Now, a lot of these guys out here, you know, they may have had the game as long as me. And buffs, for the most part, is their bread and butter. Is their A plan. Right? You know what? Whatever for you guys. I'm not saying anything against you, but me, I just really don't need it. I think it makes the game... it makes PvP matches over. I mean, it makes them basically over way too quick. And because I enjoy PvP, I kind of like having good matches, right? In my personal opinion, it's just really not fun having a match that's over within 3 or 4 swipes. I mean, there's no challenge. You don't really need to be some hotshot player to beat the crap out of somebody because you have a weapon with a buff can give you an attack strength of 600 plus. I mean, what's really cool about that? Nothing in my personal opinion, but that's me. Right, so for all you honor dudes out there to say I attack people, I'm not attacking anyone in their buffs. I'm saying what my preferences are. Right, no buffs in the brigade. Number 2, you will not see me using a pure caster. In most cases, you will not see me using a pure pyromancer. In most cases, nor will you see me using a pure faith build or a pure intelligence build. Now, before I get into why, this is a perfect demonstration as to why I absolutely hate this Darkwood Grain Ring. Now, if you guys would notice, this particular player, it's nothing about the player, I'm talking about the ring, alright? All this person is going to do is just flip all around and actually I can't say arena. He's basically just going to flip around the whole area, and it's super annoying. It is so annoying. All this guy is going to do is dance and flip, cartwheel around the whole area. And I really hate fighting with these guys, fighting against these guys, right? Because at the end of the day, dude, I really don't feel like chasing anyone. You know, either you engage or you don't. This is not gymnastics. You know, you're not, I don't know. I know some of you guys say I complain too much, but so what? They're my opinions. If you don't like it, I mean, it is what it is. I absolutely hate the Darkwood Grain Ring. And if you guys notice, this is why I'm getting ticked off. That's all this guy is doing. And actually, I get so ticked off that, dude, just come on and finish it. Just come on and finish it, because I really refuse to chase anybody around. And actually, I've kind of received, and I know some of you guys may say, dude, you're a spoiled brat. Listen, dude, say what you want. But at the end of the day, you're just hearing what I'm saying, right? And you only hear that because I'm an uploader. But best believe that there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way as I do. It's like, holy crap, dude. I get sick and tired of having to chase somebody who's not only taking advantage of all these ridiculous invincibility frames that basically makes them, I can't say invincible because, I mean, they lose too, but they really dodge a whole bunch of attacks. And number 2, when you want to fight, when you want to engage, who really wants to chase somebody around? If you notice, most of the time that you guys see me roll or whatever, is because I'm dodging an attack. I'm not just flipping around the screen for GP, right? You guys just paid close attention to my attack styles. Okay, I don't know what happened right there, but I mean, it was kind of cool looking, right? You pay attention to the times that I roll. In most cases, I am dodging an attack, an enderman attack, right? I mean, nothing that, you know, is 20 yards away from me and I'm just flipping across the screen. No, it doesn't work like that. But it seems like those guys who use that dark wood grain ring, in most cases, they just flipping just for the sake of flipping. I hate it. As a matter of fact, I absolutely cannot wait until this DLC here, because I really think that guys are going to be forced to compromise. Either you're going to maintain your little ninja flipping self and sacrifice poise, or you're going to get hot on some of these medium rolls slash fast rolls, which in my personal opinion are more realistic and more tolerable. But that's just me. I know a lot of you guys say I, kind of gripe and complain against builds, but it is what it is. That's how I feel. That's my opinion. I'm not changing it. Okay, so enough ranting about that. Like I was saying, in most cases, whenever I use a caster build, it will not be a pure caster. Because I think the most effective builds, in my personal opinion, with regard to castings, are the hybrid builds. Now, at this point, you guys see my Pyro Cleric. In other videos, and as a matter of fact, I even tweaked that one to have a fast roll, because I didn't even like the Darkwood Grain Ring that I had when I used my Faith Mage. So I finally have created that in a form that I'm satisfied with. So now the last hybrid that I plan to create is my Pyro slash Intelligence build. And I think that build is going to be super dangerous. Now, I've noticed some guys create a Pyro slash Witch, I guess you might want to call it. But I'm going to kind of put my own spin on it. To the extent that you guys are kind of familiar with good old Dark Souls Mind's Eye. I know he did about 1 or 2 videos featuring a Pyro Witch. I think that's what he called it. Good old Sans. I know he created, actually he didn't create anything, because I know he just kind of put a lot of recordings together and he featured them on his channel. But I know he uploaded some Mage slash Pyro builds, and I thought those were groovy. But I'm going to try to put my own spin on it. And for the most part, those will be my 3 hybrids. My Faith Miracle, well actually my Faith Pyro, my Faith Mage, and my Intelligence Pyro. Now, the DLC is drawing near. So for all of you guys, I mean, one thing that I would kind of suggest for you guys to do is go ahead and kind of figure out what are going to be your 5 best builds and put those builds together. For the other 5 slots, perhaps go ahead and use your little dragon head and your bottomless box glitch and kind of leave them for a reserve, right? Especially for a lot of you new guys, because for guys like me, guys who have had this game for a long time, I think we've had the game long enough to basically narrow it down to the builds that we're going to keep, right? And that's in the event that you don't want to play the game for 6 hours just to create a build, because in the brigade we don't like doing that. But I've played this game for so long, I've experimented with so many builds, I've pretty much narrowed it down. My pure strength build, my pure dexterity build, that's pure melee, and my hybrid builds. Those will make up the 5. The 3 hybrids that I just mentioned, and the dexterity and the strength builds that you guys have seen in the past. Alright guys, well I hope this is pretty much the end of it. I hope you guys enjoyed the Battle of the Build series. Thanks again to good old Wolfsins for the Haven's Butcher. Catch you guys next time. Martyrs Brigade.